not taking that into 2022. We not taking that into 2022, y'all. Hey. What's going on, y'all? Wagwan, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in with me today. Today's topic is going to be talking about self-love, how sometimes what we do can be like self-sabotaging to ourselves and our growth. So let's just jump right into it. A person cannot love you properly if they do not love and know themselves. Like, I know we hear all the time, you know, you can't love somebody if you don't love yourself, but really taking a step back and looking at that in hindsight, a person cannot properly love you if they do not love and know themselves. And we are in such a time where a lot of people don't know themselves. A lot of people are just now starting to deal with who they are, deal with their past trauma, deal with a lot of things that make them do the things that they do, act the way that they act. And when we think about relationships, friendships, whatever, partnerships, business relationships, family relationships, just relationships in general, a lot of times we want people to love us how we love, or that's the expectation, right? Reciprocity. You want someone to reciprocate the energy, and the energy should definitely match. But for example, like, if you're a person that's always checking up on people, right? Like, you're always the one reaching out, and then sometimes you're like, well, where's that same energy? Where's that same energy? My friend and I were having a conversation a while back, and basically we came to the understanding that we can't expect people to do the things that we do or act the way that we act. We can only shine our light and stay true to who we are, and again, hope that we reciprocate. And if it's not being reciprocated, understanding and know that everybody is in your life for a different reason, and sometimes for only a season. And so trying to expect someone to do the things that you do the way that you do it is unrealistic. It's an unrealistic expectation, because everybody doesn't flow the same. Everybody's mission isn't the same. You might be that person that's supposed to be the light in your family, trying to get everybody back together, or who's supposed to be that friend who can be dependable. But it's like, who can the dependable one depend on when they need someone? Let that question sink in. And so, in totality, we know that sometimes being kind-hearted, being the overachiever in friendships and relationships can lead to a lonely road, because you feel like you are extending yourself so much and you aren't receiving the same kind of love that you give. And I would say, find comfort in the fact that knowing you are still staying true to who you are. Like, a lot of people say, you know, I'm gonna match their energy. I'm giving the same energy that they give. And I read something recently, and it was saying, like, you aren't meant to stoop down and vibrate at that lower level just because somebody else is. Now, you take your gifts and your talents and you go where it's appreciated. It's not to say stay in any type of friendship or relationship or whatever, or community where you are not valued. No, you have to go where you are valued. And so again, that goes back to a person cannot love properly if they do not love themselves and know who they are. You know, it's one thing like person being narcissistic and like thinking so highly of themselves and stuff like that, but truly know who they are to the core and then being kind to others. So, and I think this topic of love it's always timely because, well, one, I'm a person, I love, like I love seeing love, I love people being in love, I love being in love, like I love showing love, receiving love is, I love love. I'm that type of person. So the topic of love is always going to be a timely topic. I don't know if it's something that it probably is a little bit oversaturated, but I think we need to get back to the root and to the core of love. And that's first starting with loving ourselves. And in accordance with loving ourselves, we have to unlearn certain behaviors that are self-sabotaging. So for me, so let's look up the definition of self-sabotage. What does that mean to be self-sabotaging? So according to healthline.com, self-sabotage refers to behaviors of thought patterns that hold you back and prevent you from doing what you want to do. So behaviors or thought patterns that hold you back and prevent you from doing what you want to do. And then some other sites give examples of some behaviors that can be self-sabotaging. So procrastination and like having low self-esteem or being a people pleaser. All of these can be self-sabotaging behaviors because it's not allowing you to truly do what it is that you want to do. So for me, sometimes overthinking is my self-sabotaging behavior because I'll outthink myself in a situation, like, and I have this theory of like saying, quitting before I even begin, or ending before I even begin. So you've already gotten to the end and you haven't even begun the necessary steps in order to take action to make it happen. Like I'm already thinking about the end result, and I haven't even begun yet. So that's a little theory I have, like don't end before you even begin. That's why I have to remind myself, don't go all the way to the end result and not even begin, because then you start to scare yourself out of doing the things that it is that you want to do. So for example, there may be some of you who want to write a book, right? And you're like, well, try. I know that you're an author. I am a published author, by the way, if some of you all don't know that. I have a 40-day affirmation book. It's entitled Triumphant Risings, and I published it in 2016, so that's my first publication. And so some of you all like may reach out and say, well, I know I want to be an author, I want to publish my book, but X, Y, and Z. Like you've already got to the end and you haven't even started right. And I say, well, like, what is your book about? What do you have? And you're like, oh, well, I haven't started writing it yet, but I know I want to. So you already thinking about the end result, and you haven't even began the first steps. That's just for an example. So sometimes we can already get to the end and we haven't even started. So the first step is to start. So I know that we have to unlearn a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors that hold us back, or thoughts that hold us back from doing what it is, or preventing us from doing what it is that we truly want to do. But on the flip side of that, in doing what it is that we want to do, we also have to ask ourselves, is this of my highest purpose? Is what I want, what I desire, is it for my highest purpose. You all know that we have autonomy over our lives. We have the ability to choose. So literally every choice that we're making in our lives is directing the path that we're going to take. You can have two totally different paths set up for your life, but it's based off of the decisions that you've made previously, presently, and that you're going to make in the future. So we have to really take the time to like sit back and reflect on the things that we're doing and why we're doing it and being intentional. I know we always hear people talk about being intentional. Let's be intentional. Like everybody wants to be intentional now, but nobody wants to talk about what that means to be intentional. So, for example, with my 40-day affirmation book, the intent behind that is to get in the habit of every day that I wake up, affirming my rising, speaking life into myself, commanding and demanding what it is that I desire to see manifested in my day, and speaking those words of positivity in my life. Because as we know, our minds are so powerful, and I know some people really don't believe that we are able to visualize a thing and manifest it into our reality, but there is research that proves our visuals are so in depth and so beyond what we know it to be that we can literally manifest a thing into reality. It may take time, but it's still possible. So you setting intentions look like, writing down those things that you want to do, writing, scribing. That's setting an intent. You're taking that time to do something, or sitting down and meditating, visualizing. That's setting intention. You're speaking those things that you desire. That's what faith is. Seeing, believing in something that you can't even see yet, or you may not can. It's not even tangible to you yet. That's what faith is. That's what moving by faith is. Another way for you to set intention is to have a community of people that you can counsel with, seeking that wisdom and that knowledge, because it's true, we can't do everything by ourselves. But in that, I would say be very cautious in the people that you choose to be in your community, in your circle, that you commune with and you trust with your desires and the things that you want to see, come to fruition. And sometimes you might not need to say anything at all to anyone until you have gone within and know for sure what it is that you are trying to create in your space. And as we talk about relationships and building and intention and letting go of self-sabotaging behaviors and having the love and the care reciprocated, it's also necessary for us to talk about ego and how dun dun dun, yeah, I know, ego. And how a lot of times we put our ego into things not knowing that we could be doing more harm to the situation. So we might want a certain partner, or we might want a certain lifestyle, right? And we sometimes we let our ego get in the way, or we might have certain expectation for our friendships, right? Or our business relationships. And we let our ego get in the way, not understanding like what the other person may be experiencing or what the other person may be going through. So sometimes we have to look at things in hindsight and see things from other people's perspective. Like, you might be mad that you haven't heard from your friend in a couple weeks, but not knowing that your friend is dealing with X, Y, and Z, whether it's depression or anxiety or a loss in the family or whatever the case may be. People are dealing with their own things and their own baggage as well. So even as we try to create or even as we play a role in creating the life that we want to live, we still have to have compassion towards others, because at the end of the day, everybody is dealing with their own things in their life that they're trying to conquer and overcome. So having that compassion to the people that are around you, and taking our ego out of it and looking at things in hindsight and from the other person's perspective. Now, that's not to say we should be giving people the benefit of the doubt. One of my good friends, we had a conversation, and it was just like brought up, like, sometimes we give people the benefit of the doubt so much, but when has doubting ever benefited us? Doubting has never benefited you. There's not been a time where you doubted and it's benefited you, except if it was like a gut feeling or your intuition telling you, like, oh, I don't know if you should go here, I don't know if you should do that, I don't know if you should, you know what I'm saying? That's the difference. So with that being said, it's not to say go on making excuses for people and say, well, if somebody is just treating you, unkindly, or not treating you properly, that you should, give them the benefit of the doubt just because they might be experiencing something difficult. No, people still have to be held accountable. Now, my mother always says, like, you teach people how to treat you. So based off your action, if you allow a person to continue doing a certain thing that you don't appreciate or you don't accept, then they're going to continue to do that because you're allowing them to. So it's a difference. It's a thin line, because you have to really use that discernment at times to know yourself first and know how you love yourself and the type of love that you give yourself, because you can't demand something from somebody that you're not even giving yourself. How that look? Us wanting somebody else to do this or do that, and we're not even doing it for ourselves. That's unfair. That's selfish, So we also have to look at that very carefully. It's not to accept any old thing from anybody, but it's also to still show compassion in situations to where this person is in your life and want to bring positivity and upliftment in your life, and not there to try to tear you down or leech off of you or whatever, because they're not even comfortable with who they are as a person. Do you know people will really do that? It's people that will bring another person down because they see your light, they see you shining, and they want to bring you down with them. What they say, misery loves company, right? And it's a true statement. Misery does love company. And so sometimes people will see you shining and they'll be in your close vicinity because y'all might have, history or whatever, but they'll try to bring you down because they're down and they haven't done that inner work to shine from within. They need outside influences to build and say who they are. They need, it's nothing that comes from within them. It's all external. They need external things to tell them their value and their worth. No, we're not taking that into 2022. We're not taking that into 2022, y'all, with the hand clap. No, absolutely not. And it's really recognizing the signs, and it's really doing your work. And don't get me wrong, like, it's all a process. It's all a journey. And I'm still maneuvering through it as well. But at the end of the day, when you know better, you do better. So yes, I hope that you all have found this message helpful today. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What behaviors or self-sabotaging behaviors are you going to let go as we enter into this new season? What practices are you going to start putting into place to show yourself that self-love and that gratitude that you deserve? Well, thank you all so much. Until next time, it's your girl Tricuria, aka Empress T. Make sure you all go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We're going to be dropping new content every week, so make sure you all stay tuned. Until next time, peace. Let's get into this hair though. Y'all, I'm just loving it. Ah, yes, yes, yes. New hair, who this?